Going?
I think so. Let's look it up on
That's always
Is it on YouTube? Is that what this is on?
Yep, that's right.
the YouTube.
He's on the
On your
YouTube.
channel? I don't even know what your channel is.
Well, it's after my, it's like tjenkins0509@gmail.com or
Something like that. Okay.
something.
So apparently we might be going on. Oh, let's record it too. In case you need to just delete the live streaming.
Okay.
Sure.
Alright, we're live.
Whatever, I don't give a shit. No, it has my name under it, you asshole.
Alright, we rolling?
You switch that, I want something better.
He said switch it. He wants something better. Are we recording right now?
We're recording right now.
Okay.
Alright, we're talking to live here with Theodore from the Chipmunks. And I'm not sure how my phone's pulling this up or not. Hey, there you are, Tim Jenkins. So we're talking about live streaming today, aren't we?
We just lost
You
your
are
video
an
feed.
asshole, sir. I don't even care.
Oh, because it's so hot, that's why. It's overheating.
What? How do you prevent it from overheating?
Pull it down. Get the battery out, maybe? Low on it?
Yeah, there you go. It came back.
Alright. Oh.
Okay, take 572.
I think we're still streaming. Are we streaming? Are we streaming,
This
Joe?
is gonna make for an interesting
Yeah,
stream.
you guys are streaming.
So you actually see me on the screen there.
No, I don't see you on screen
Oh,
yet.
well, they're not streaming.
Oh, now you just went on screen.
I'm waving at you. Can you hear us, or?
I can hear you. I'm muted, you guys.
You
So
muted
I
the
don't
whole
know.
time.
It
Okay.
became
Alright.
too confusing because it was talking in the present and in the past. So
Yeah, so it's just like 20-second delay or whatever. So we're on to the topic of streaming video, and here we are with Theodore from the Chipmunks.
I just hang up.
Because he's like, I don't care what photo you use of me. I'm like, all right. I'm just trying.
I
I'm
was
trying to see
okay
the
with Prince
screen.
Aladdin, and then you went with something else.
Yeah. So again, the reason we wanted to do this stream was first just to kind of test things out for the possibility of shows in the future.
Right.
But also to talk about just streaming in general, where it's going to go, what problems exist with it, and what demographics of people are interested in it. Again, what's the point of it? So
So I believe the first problem is that Google Hangouts on Air no longer exists.
yeah, that's a definite problem.
It's a little bit more complicated in how we do these streams.
Yeah. So why don't you walk through a little bit there, John, on what we had to do after that?
So basically, we need to send the signal out to the streaming server, which I like a lot of kids are doing now with Twitch. Isn't that right, Joe? How do you set it up on your system?
Okay, well, so you basically go through OBS, which is open broadcast software, and it's free to use. It's freeware. But how you have to go through that is you basically put in their information, their key, and basically set it to their servers. So I mean, it's more of a process of just getting the right server set up and all that. So using OBS is probably one of the better ways of doing it.
So back it up, like what he's saying is like he's taking the signal from his computer and then encoding it for a stream.
Yeah.
And using
OBS for an encoder.
Right. Now, what we're doing here is a little bit more complicated. It's the same principle. We're using a program called vMix, which encodes, as you can see, 2 cameras, and we were having a Skype stream to it too, but he didn't have his camera working. That's why he has a picture of Theodore on there, because he looks like Theodore, really.
Wow, really? Is that where we want to go today?
He already said he was threatening to hang up, so let's leave it at that, okay?
Yeah. So what it is, we have 3 signals going into hardware encoders through SDI, and we're converting the signal into digital, and then using vMix software to mix it all together, and then we have this 3 picture-in-picture situation going on here with the titles, and that has its own streaming server system. It's just like OBS. In that all we do is we type in it's got presets actually for YouTube, and all we need to do is put in the streaming code, and it knows where to send the signal. So that's how we're going to get live video for anybody to watch on YouTube.
Okay, so one of the questions I had, because I watched quite a few videos about Google Hangouts and its functionality and things like that, one of the limitations of Google Hangouts is that only 11 people at the most can be in the channel. And if you have more people, then you're kind of out of luck. You'd have to create like several Hangouts and jump around or whatever. I don't really know too much about YouTube Live, and I don't know if you know too much about it at this point either, John, but since we're doing a live broadcast right now and people could be watching on YouTube, is there, like, could people be putting comments down below, or is there kind of like a chat function?
There is a comments functionality. I don't know the details of how many people can be on YouTube Live. I don't think there's a limit.
There's no limit on the YouTube channel. If you're doing it as a live YouTube stream, there is no limit. So that makes it the difference of versus Hangouts and YouTube. Is YouTube you can have thousands really if you have the viewership, but at the same time you have to have the viewership.
Yeah, when you have thousands of the problem, the comments. If you have thousands of people commenting at the same time, it just gets impossible to follow. I've seen some streams where it's just like flooding the comments.
Oh yeah, because then you also have the people that that just flood like macros and things like
stuff.
that, and,
really weird, bizarre.
Anything to get attention, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So Joe, why don't you share a little bit? Why don't you share a little bit, Joe, on what it's like to filter that or to handle that while you're streaming, since you've been doing this for a while now, as far as the streaming. What's that like with the active comments, and just like how do you juggle that into whatever it is you're doing?
I mean, it's just something that takes practice. I mean, you try to respond and talk to those people as they interact with you, and sometimes they're quiet and sometimes they're not, and sometimes they're very active. Just really depends on the people that are in your stream, but you want to try to interact with them as much as possible, but at the same time you just can't let the stream kind of be dictated by them, because then it's not really your stream, it's you kind of just playing up to those people. So it's kind of a balance of, you want to talk to them, but at the same time, you don't want to fall for any of their kind of like the pitfalls that they try to get you into sometimes when you get trolls and stuff like that in your streams.
Okay, so I'm thinking like in an education setting, say I was doing a training session with multiple groups of teachers or students that are overseas or other things like that. I think what you're telling me is a smarter idea to like plan certain sections in say a presentation or a discussion when you can respond to those, rather than constantly looking and getting distracted.
I would say so. I think just like with any anything a teacher does, you want to have probably a curriculum, but then have like those points where you have Q&A sessions in between where they can interact, so that they can hold their questions, and then you just kind of do a 15-20 minute Q&A session, try to get those people to interact with you, and then you can from that point, if you have another point or like a curriculum set to do, or you can always tailor it to answering those questions in another segment, where it's just kind of like you jotted down the questions that you think are the most vital, and then responding to those, and then even doing another Q&A after you've addressed all those to see if there's any other questions, and kind of just however much time you have, block it, because you'll slowly dwindle down those questions, so that way you at least get the block of information you wanted to get out, but you still have the Q&A for the people that might have questions.
And I might add too that YouTube Live may not be the best tool for that. You might want to use like Google Hangouts. If you're dealing with a small audience that or if you're working with a group of teachers or something that are all over the world or something, Google Hangouts would be a better choice rather than Google Live. You're not broadcasting to a live group of people unless you're doing like a TED Talks kind of a thing. And if you really want people watching live that you don't know, then that would be YouTube Live. But if you're working with a group of people that you know and you want...
But I think you can also do a YouTube specific where it's invite only.
Oh, YouTube Live
YouTube
invite
has
only?
That. That's like an invitational
that's
kind
true.
of a thing.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, at that point, you might as well just like Yeah, I guess you could use that. You could use it that way.
Well, there's another interesting thing that they talked about, and I watched some videos on. There's a online website called Khan Academy that's become really, really popular, which has all kinds of instructional videos for math and for other subjects in education. And they have this concept they've been pushing called the flipped classroom, which basically means in the old traditional style classroom, you'd go and you'd learn all the material, and then you'd go home and do homework, right? Or you'd, work on refining your skills. The idea is that instead for homework you go home and you watch videos about how to do things, and then you actually do the activities of the homework in the classroom with the supervision of the teacher.
That's cool.
And so that's one functionality that we're kind of looking into for Google Hangouts or YouTube Live or other things, that you could use it for that purpose, where say you're tutoring somebody who's in another country or far away or something like that, or you're having kind of a Q&A session so that a teacher or even a student could be remote and tutoring somebody else.
Well, the difference though is YouTube Live is more of a broadcast, and you really want more teleconferencing.
Right.
That's the concept you want. So it's not quite the same tool. You want to use, if you're doing a one-on-one, probably the Google Hangouts would be a better choice. It's a lot simpler to set up too. Like, you don't have to do the streaming server stuff that we're trying to pull off today.
Right.
It's more like webcam. That's we were Google hanging out last night, and it was pretty simple to set up. This is a little bit more complicated, and I'm not even sure. We might be having like echo issues, so I'll address that. Just acknowledge that at this point.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think the tool, you need the right tool for your project. Also, I just finished a thing with Lake Elsinore, so we're doing State of the City address that was broadcast live on Facebook Live. So Facebook's also got a platform for doing streaming video, which can utilize your phone. You can do a Facebook Live just straight with your phone, or we can do it with a webcam, or even a sophisticated setup that we have today for YouTube Live. So lots of different things, lots of different options coming up on the future.
Okay. What was your overall take on that Facebook program? I mean, was it basically like a carbon copy of Hangouts, or
it's simpler? It's simpler than YouTube setting it for YouTube, and then people are commenting live on Facebook. Basically, we had a person actually monitoring the comments and responding to comments during the mayor's speech.
Wow.
So it was pretty.
Talking about Facebook on YouTube. Watch the live stream just go down.
Yeah.
Shut it
and then
down.
tell you I think did I tell you guys? Yeah. So we didn't have a good internet connection, so we used a mobile hotspot, and we were dealing with like 0.75 megabit streams until we finally found the right spot for it, which we got a 3 megabit upstream, and okay, we can survive on this, and actually looks really good. The motion's really smooth, and it's a 720p, so it's really sharp, pretty sharp video. So we survived. It doesn't take that much data, but you have to be careful.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we'll just kind of wrap things up with just final statements. In general, though, just in your experience so far with the YouTube Live and then the Facebook and then Google Hangouts, what do you think are some of the pros and cons, John, that you see? Because again, part of the reason we're doing this activity is exploring whether or not it's something that you could use for your online site, things like that. Which one do you think you're kind of leaning towards, and what are the functionalities that you're specifically looking for?
Well, we're going to be going probably to YouTube Live, because YouTube is where our fan base is based out of. So as far as the technology side, what we have to do is figure out how to get the stream to the server. What server that is, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, it doesn't really matter as long as you're getting the stream there. And that's what we're trying to figure out, and that's part of what tonight's experiment was all about. But yeah, as far as what's for you guys, though, for teachers, I think it's really just coming down to picking the right tool for what you want to do. If you want to do like a lecture that reaches classrooms all over the world, YouTube Live is a good choice. If you want to do a tutoring session with a group of kids or something like that, then I think Hangouts would be more of an appropriate choice. So it's really a matter of just figuring out what tool is going to work for you.
Okay. And then Joe, just to wrap up, what kind of tips or advice do you have with your experience in streaming it that say you were trying to do some kind of a streaming event for education, what are some of the things to avoid, or pitfalls, or just general things to kind of make the stream interesting?
The problem is with this kind of technology and this kind of thing where you're streaming, is that the pitfall is really keeping it to the people you want to see it. Like, as I was saying, kind of that invitational kind of a thing, because, you know, somehow, like, you got, say, 20, 30 people, and they're all teachers, but you don't have it as an invitational kind of a thing, and then all of a sudden, you know, in pops, you know, one person, and then they, you know, they decide, okay, we're going to screw with this, and they go to, like, 4chan or some other site like that, and then just start posting the link, and all those people are going to start coming. So it's making sure to know either how to seclude or include these, like, you know, people, so if somebody does come in, maybe they don't troll it, or to be able to exclude everybody but the people you want. And that's probably the key thing, because if you're going to do it educational, not everybody's going to be interested in that. Obviously you're going to have the teachers or the students or the people, whoever you're, you know, doing this class or informational thing for, but you're going to have all these other people that may be able to get into it as well. So either willing to incorporate those people, or having a moderator. That would be an important way of doing it, having someone perhaps that you knew to be a moderator, so that if people start to come in and do that stuff, they can quickly be squashed, or being able to exclude them and do it through an invitational only, and that way you don't have to worry about that situation in general. Those are kind of those pitfalls. I think they're probably the most major ones, because getting in front of a camera is, you know, if you're just doing your lecturing, it's not super big deal. Interacting with them is, you know, more of keeping it something fun for them, because obviously they're looking at a screen while you're teaching. But the major downfall comes from outside influences. So figuring out a way to make sure that if that does occur, or that you have a plan to keep it at a minimal, or keep it at least at bay.
Okay, point well taken. Well, I want to thank you guys both for coming out and sharing your experiences and just what your take is on this technology, and I think we'll go ahead and wrap it there.
Okay, let's see if this stream worked out.
Yeah, hopefully not any feedback issues, things like that. Can I go ahead and take the lava off? Okay.